Not since rounding out the holiday season in January 2010, way back at UFC 108, has the organization seen such an injury-ravaged card. And while it may not seem like Christmas in July for fans in Calgary, UFC 149 does still have a couple stocking stuffers on it, although half of the original card snuffed out. Tyler Mason, our resident Grinch, along with Joe Cervenka. And while it may not be a shiny new bike or a train set, all that glitters is gold in the main event as the California kid, Uriah Faber, and Renan Barão battle for the interim bantamweight title and the right to fight champ Dominic Cruz in the near future. We all know the former tough coach rivals Cruz and Faber's story, but this relatively unknown Renan Barão, you think he's got a great shot here. Tell everybody why.
Yeah, I mean, I think Renan Barão's set to upset Uriah Faber in this fight because I think a lot of people are sleeping on him just because they don't know him. I mean, he has an incredible undefeated streak right now. He's 29 fights. His only loss is in his professional debut, which I always think is kind of a wash. I mean, there's always some jitters when you first go out of the gate. He's just unstoppable right now. I mean, we saw what he did to Scott Jorgensen. We see what he did to Brad Pickett. I mean, dominated right through those guys. Cole Escovedo as well. It's just, I mean, Barão's just running through everybody right now. A teammate, Jose Aldo, who's already fought and beaten Uriah Faber, so he's already got kind of a scout on the former champion at featherweight there. So I think he's due for the upset. I mean, Uriah Faber's a tough fighter to get a win against, but I think Barão's going to do it.
And Faber is sort of like the people's champ. Everyone likes Uriah Faber, so a lot of people going with him. Like you said, not a lot of people know who Renan Barão is. Do you think he will wait for Dominic Cruz, or will he have a title defense before that if he wins the belt like you think he will?
I think he'll definitely wait for Dominic Cruz, depending on the injury. I mean, if we're talking that he's out for a year and a half, or that it re-injures again in rehab, then of course he's going to have to take another fight. But I think when you have one half of a belt and someone else has the other half, you pretty much got to wait and unify that belt.
Sure. All right, from there we head to another relatively unknown outside of Bellator and international circles anyway. Hector Lombard, his ridiculous 25 feet unbeaten streak. He takes on the Barbarian. Tim Boetsch has looked great since dropping to middleweight, reeling off 3 straight, including that ridiculous, insane comeback win over Yushin Nakami, who Joe Rogan was calling the comeback of all time in UFC history. He may have been a little bit overboard, but it was pretty crazy. Now the question is, can Boetsch be the one that puts an end to Hector Lombard's streak?
It's possible, but I don't think it's likely. I mean, I've been a big Boetsch supporter. One of the guys I said he's got very underrated power. I mean, this guy has a lot of strength. We saw it at light heavyweight. It's even more relevant at 185. I mean, here's a guy who could pretty much throw anyone around in the ring. We saw the huge judo throw on Nick Ring, who's a top prospect at 185. The problem is he's going in against a guy who's a former Olympic judoka. I mean, Hector Lombard's got so much speed in his hands, so much power, and he's got a very good base because of his judo background. Hector Lombard, another guy, crazy streak. Not a lot of people know who he is as far as UFC fans, but I think he's just too fast on the feet, he's too solid in his base, and he's got too much power.
Okay, so a couple interesting scenarios could come up here in the middleweight division. We just saw Chris Weidman absolutely destroy Mark Munoz. That was talked about maybe the next guy that gets Anderson Silva. If Hector Lombard has a dominating performance here like he has in most of his last 25 fights, do they pit him against Weidman, or do they pit him straight against Anderson Silva?
Well, I mean, a lot of the talk is he'll be fighting Anderson Silva. Dana White said that. But I think it really depends on the performance. If he has kind of a lukewarm performance against Boetsch, I don't think they're going to rush to throw him in there against Anderson Silva. Because for a fan base that relatively don't know who he is, it's going to be tough to sell that fight. Chris Weidman just had an amazing performance. I think he's the top runner for a shot at Anderson Silva, especially since he called him out. I think a more interesting fight for Hector Lombard, maybe a future matchup with a Vitor Belfort. Both guys lots of power, both guys lots of speed. To me, that's just fireworks.
So get on that Twitter and Twitter Dana White, see how much pull you really have. And the heavyweight division should be plenty of fireworks. Czech Congo looks to bounce back from a TKO loss to Mark Hunt when he takes on the heaviest man ever, unofficially of course, to pull off the backflip in the octagon, Sean Jordan. He did it in Strikeforce as well. Will the Frenchman give Jordan a chance to do a cartwheel this time, potentially?
Well, we saw, Sean Jordan, he does have a little bit of striking. I mean, he was pretty impressive against Ollie Thompson in his debut. I mean, I just don't know if he has the striking to keep up with Czech Congo.
No cartwheel.
No cartwheel. I mean, he could possibly do it. I think he'll stick with the backflip theme if he wins. But Czech Congo, I think his striking is just too good. And also experience. I mean, Czech Congo has been in the UFC for a very long time. I think the experience is going to be the big factor. He is getting up there in age. One day that's going to catch up to him, and it's going to be very relevant very quickly. But I think Czech Congo's just got too much experience, too much striking advantage.
Like you said, he is getting up there in age. Congo's 37. He's been sort of on the cusp of a title shot a couple of different times. What does he need to do? Clearly, he's been rotating wins and losses. What does he need to do to get back and maybe have one last run at a title shot?
It's going to be tough. I mean, obviously the thing he has to do the most is win, but it's going to be tough. I mean, he just lost to Mark Hunt when he was his closest to a title shot. Other than that, you got to take on a big contender. Like someone out there sitting around, Fabricio Verdum, if he goes out there and beats somebody like that, possibly it throws you into title contention, but you have to beat someone who's very tough, who's in the top of the rankings, who also has kind of a little bit of name value.
All right, let's head to our final fight of the week, and it comes out of the welterweight division where James Head takes on Brian Ebersole. You may argue with Brian Ebersole's manscaping styles, but you can't argue with his resume. 11 straight wins, perfect 4-0 in the octagon, including maybe that most impressive performance, that W he had over TJ Wahlberger under a month ago. He's coming into this fight under short rest. The UFC loves guys that will take fights whenever they can. Can the Aussie make it 12 in a row with a win here?
Well, I mean, Brian Ebersole, if we look through his career, this guy's been very active. So, I mean, I don't think the short rest is going to be too much of an effect on him. I mean, there's a fighter in Bellator who goes by Funky, that's Ben Askren, but I'd say Brian Ebersole kind of fits that name a little bit better. I mean, he's a guy who just shuts down grapplers. James Head, I mean, he was kind of losing to Papi Abedi in his last fight before Abedi kind of gassed out. So I think Ebersole, that's one of his advantages, is he usually can really grind on guys and wear them out. I don't know if he's going to have necessarily that advantage over Head, but I think the grappling that he possesses, former Division I wrestler, and he's just got this funky style where he might get in a bad spot. We saw it with Claude Patrick. We saw it with Dennis Hallman, TJ Wahlberger. I mean, he'll get in a bad spot, but he's resilient. I mean, he has the ability to shut down all of these grapplers, hang on, and then find a way to win. So I think that's the most important thing this fight is he finds a way to win.
Like you said, he grinds it out. He always finds to be in the fight in the end of it. Quick trivia question. Ebersole, 11 in a row. Who was his last loss to?
I would say Hector Lombard.
You got it, right on. So, with that said, Ebersole's beat some really good guys. He's got to be up there in the welterweight division. How close? They've been kind of fighting him, sort of medium-level guys. What would you like to see him go next? Because his resume speaks for itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big thing. I mean, he's got tons of wins in a row, surprising wins as well. I mean, when he came in against Chris Lytle, I mean, a lot of people thought he was going to lose that fight. I think you got to throw him in there against the top guy. Maybe an Ellerberger who's coming off a loss. Or maybe even a Damian Maia, who just came off a very impressive win over Dong Hyun Kim.
All right, we'll see. Let's recap. You're going with Renan Barão to carry the temporary gold, Hector Lombard streak to continue in his UFC debut, Congo to get past Jordan. And can you call him Harry? You can call him misguided, but you can't call him a loser. Brian Ebersole, the enigmatic one, to win over James Head. For a full breakdown of the event, make sure you tune into UFC Central Monday and all week for UFC Central with Showdown Joe. Next week, we'll round out the Calgary card with a stampede of Canadians in action. That will wrap it for now. For Tyler Mason, I'm Joe Cervenka. Join us in 7 days. We put the finishing touches on UFC 149.